Are you an ambitious professional looking for that missing edge in your performance? Discover what elite professionals already know. Happiness isn't just a feeling, it's your most powerful competitive advantage. Join me on Tuesday, March 26th for an exclusive live webinar where I'll share the neuroscience behind why happiness drives exceptional business results, practical techniques to rewire your brain for enhanced focus and resilience, transformative mindset shifts that you can implement immediately. Imagine leading with unshakable confidence, inspiring your team, and performing at your peak, all while preventing burnout. Head over to Linktree/YourThoughtLife to register today and transform your leadership journey with the power of happiness. Your team and your future self will thank you. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Your Thought Life podcast. I'm your host, Michael Anderson. In today's episode, we're going to dig through the archive. I've gone off and allowed myself to get ill, unfortunately, and I'm in no shape to do any extensive recording. This was one of our top downloaded episodes in 2024. On Tuesday, we brought to you the 10th most downloaded episode of 2024. And today, we're bringing to you the 9th most downloaded episode in 2024. Enjoy, family. Have you ever considered or ever found yourself in a mental tug of war with negative thoughts? Certainly the answer is unilaterally yes. All of us from time to time find ourselves in this situation. Our minds are like overactive chatterboxes, often just bombarding us with self-doubt and negativity. But here's the good news, family. You have the power to take control. Today, we're going to unpack this in such a way that it just makes sense. We're going to explore why we let these negative thoughts rule us, and we're going to take a more closely observation around how comparing reality and these thoughts can be absolute game changers. I often get asked when I'm out and about, why do we let negative thoughts rule us, Mike? My typical feedback there is negative thoughts are often a way of taking all of the things that we have learned and been molded from to the extremes where our body feels like it needs to create a defense. Our minds feel like it has to do something to protect us. When you find that negative thoughts are taking the center stage, you have to understand the mechanics of what's going on, and I just shared that. These are protective mechanisms that are built into the oldest and most mature part of your mind. One of the reasons why negative thoughts can so easily take center stage is because our brains are literally wired to prioritize negative information, a phenomenon known as negative bias. Why? Because, again, I shared with you, this dates back to our ancestry. We sort of got this package through evolution. It's no way for us to depart from it, so we have to learn how to manage it. This bias was built upon our survival mechanism. It's there again to protect us from the woolly mammoth. But we don't have that anymore. And the worst part about it is not only do we have that, but we can create the woolly mammoth scenario by thought alone. There doesn't have to be a single smidget of danger anywhere around us for us to create the same bodily sensations that foster and allow these types of negative thoughts to flourish. I think another reason is that influence in our environment, I believe, has something to do with this. If you grew up in a critical, stressful environment where negative thinking was internalized as a norm like I did, then you might not know any better. This is a hardcore program that you have been exposed to, and that's operating on a day-to-day basis. Why? Because it's a part of your identity. That subconscious story that we keep sharing those first 7 years, and how you're on constant record downloading all of the information that is to make you you and give you an identity and beliefs and biases. All of those things come into play here. And so if you find that, these societal pressures and all of the comparative works that we see all around us are bothering you or making you feel inadequate, well, that too is par for the course, because all of us are going through that, and everybody is literally bombarded by various aspects of our environment. Here's another question for you that's very thought-provoking that should help bring this concept to the forefront. Think about why it's better to compare reality to negative thoughts. This is key. Why it's better to compare reality to negative thoughts. When you're comparing reality to your negative thoughts, you are going to find that when you fact check, certain things come to the forefront that were once hidden. First and foremost is when you fact check or reality check, what you're going to see is that our negative thoughts are exaggerated and completely unfounded. For the few opportunities that we think through these things and devise something because we don't understand the unknown, 85% of the time it doesn't come to pass. Of the 15%, when it does come to pass in some format, it is way less than how we saw it and way less impactful than how we imagined it. I want you to begin taking a hard, close look through the reality check as to whether or not these thoughts have merit. Then I want you to stop catastrophizing. This is where we take a set of circumstances, again, unknown, and we allow our minds to blow those up. Then what ends up happening is the body sees that there's a great degree of agitation. It goes back into the archives of our mind and pulls up memories to go along with what the theme is in the mind. Now we have a compounding effect. This is how the whole catastrophe in the mindset space gets elevated to a point where it's just like, there's no way in the world I'm doing that. There's no way in the world I'm stepping out on faith. This negative thought rules, but it shouldn't. What I want you to do is stop blowing things out of proportion. Know that you're doing it. One of the things we say often is that knowing the sequence of events that are taking place as they're taking place is half the battle. We're giving that to you today. When you stop or reduce the whole catastrophe situation, it allows you to get grounded in the present. Your anxiety levels fall abruptly and you're able to think clearly. Number 3, you've got to start building in some resilience. When we challenge the negative thought, we become more resilient because we're not folding over and allowing whatever the negative thought is saying to just exist without a reality check, without a reduction in catastrophizing. Now we're adding to it this resilient component, which is a win and a springboard to begin helping us on a day-to-day basis to reduce the sheer number of negative thoughts that get to persist unchecked. Number 4, I want you to encourage yourself. You have to sometimes look to your internals and simply take charge. When you're focusing on the reality, when you're reducing the catastrophe, you're getting some momentum through resilience, breaking the cycle. Now you're in a state of mind where you can really think about your mindset. And when you're thinking about what you're thinking about, now you're on the cusp of going to the next level. And that is really what this is all about today, is getting you to the next level, that you don't let your thoughts push you around. They're not the boss. You are. Are some negative thoughts valid? Let's deal with this for a minute. In fact, Some negative thoughts indeed are valid. If you're standing in front of a pit bull and he's got that whole watery mouth thing going on, he's growling and looking like he's going to have you for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, your mind is telling you, don't run, but your heart is beating incredibly fast. It's wise that you not run. It's wise that you listen. There are some situations where these negative thoughts do come up, but they have merit. When you're in a situation and somebody is helping you to move from a certain place in life to an elevated place, and they give you something that sounds like less than ideal criticism or feedback, and it feels like it kind of cut. It feels like it wasn't delivered really well, and it feels like it was kind of painful, maybe because it was some truth in it and you just weren't willing at the moment to deal with that truth. That's a valid negative experience. It is tied to the former or to previous incidents, but what you've got to do is parse that, separate it, and see the good in it. This too would go really well into the whole reality check spectrum. Then there's just risks that we have in general. Financial decisions are one that I face. Am I doing the right thing? There's going to be negative thoughts that come as a result of that. But what we have to do when we feel these that are environmental is do our math, do our research, and let's remember, family, to go fact check to make sure what we think is going on has merit. Then let's not catastrophize. Let's not allow this thing to mushroom out of control. And if we can just do these simple tasks in the heat of the moment, what we'll find is these negative thoughts won't get to keep pushing us around. So I want to give you a couple of things that you can begin to do right now to really cement your approach to dealing with this. And that's going to be, number one, is to identify your thoughts. You've got to know when you're in this mode. Your responsibility is to stand guard at the forefront of your mind and selectively allow in those things that you want in. We want to ruminate on the things that move us forward, not the things that set us back. Negative thoughts, for the most part, where there's a negative connotation and it's tied to the past and it's limiting, are not the type of thoughts we want to allow in. We have to know what's going on. Awareness is of the utmost importance. You knowing what state that you're in, or you were in a good state and all of a sudden you're starting to feel like you're in a not so good state. You have to ask yourself a series of whys that you can get to the root cause, nip it so you can get back on track and not allow these negative thoughts to push you around. Then you're going to challenge the negative thought. Perhaps you will remember that we said we were going to be about fact checking or reality checking. Well, here's where you do that. Here's the process. Step 2, where you ask yourself, is this thought have merit? Is it based in fact, or is it something that I have created on my own? Is it filled with assumptions, or is it filled with the truth? You need to go and find that evidence to support whatever is going on one way or the other. And you need to do so without any judgment. There's no need for that to enter in. We're in a neutral state, simply asking ourselves a set of questions as to the validity of this negative thought. Then, if we find that there's no evidence, then we're simply going to reframe it. We're going to replace the negative thought with a positive thought, one that is realistic and achievable. Instead of thinking I'll never be good at anything, you're going to replace that. I'm continually improving and I'm going to be better at the end of the day than I was yesterday. That is empowering. That is something your body and being would desire to hear. It is progressive, and it does not retard what it is you are trying to achieve through your self-development journey. Number 4 is practicing mindfulness. Again, we've got to stay in the present moment. We can't be too far forward when we certainly can't be looking in the rearview mirror. For us to do that, to be present, is to be focused on the right now. And it's difficult for us to do this because we have so much stimuli that is begging and pleading for our attention. It's just the world that we reside in today. If we want to reduce the power of negative thoughts, we've got to stay grounded in the present. And we've got to ask some difficult questions of ourselves and of our thoughts. If you find yourself really bent out of shape about something, just stop and take some deep breaths. If you're a meditator, do a little quick meditative walk. We talked about meditating at your desk. That's in the library. Take a look at that. It's one of our most downloaded episodes. It's a fantastic set of criteria that you can utilize while you're at your desk. And then lastly, if you find that you're in a set of circumstances where you've done all of these things, you can't be consistent, you have more bad days than you have good days, the negative thoughts seem to be overpowering you for some reason, you've got issues in the past that you haven't dealt with, you're struggling to gain clarity on the direction you should go, you have a myriad of situations that keep acting as limiters, call me. Book some free time and we'll talk through it. We'll help you through this. There's no reason why you have to continue suffering when you can get help at a very, very reasonable rate. So in conclusion, your thoughts don't need to be pushing you around anymore. We're at an age now where we need to take charge, period, in the story. And by understanding why we let negative thoughts rule us, why they get allowed into our thought life and in our patterns, that is literally half the battle. We've also equipped you with the other side of the battle to give you 5 steps, 5 simple steps that you can deploy right now for actionable within you, the 5th one being bringing in somebody from the outside to really help you through this. As I do what I do, helping people fast track personal and professional success, those people who are willing to take the time, who are willing to take the effort to do something for themselves in concert with someone else who can hold them accountable, who can give them all of the steps by the numbers and help them through these difficult periods, I have a tremendous amount of respect for these people. And I know that's the vast majority of you. I'm seeing and reading the comments that you're sending me. I appreciate all of you who have booked time and have become clients. More power to you, more power to each of you. And we're literally here in that capacity to help you get to your goals, dreams, and aspirations as swiftly as possible. Thank you so much for listening today. And that concludes this episode. I appreciate your time and your attention. You can reach me on IG at Your Thought Life, YOR Thought Life, no spaces. And I want to remind you, you are enough. You can do it. And you are uniquely equipped to realize your goals. Until next time, take care and be safe.